Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're okay. I hope that you have been having some sort of fun during the weeks, and I hope that you have advanced with the homeworks. Remember to post everything the day that I ask. If you don't do it the day that I ask, you're losing points if you do it before, because that means you're not following instructions. You're not working on advance. You're just unfollowing instructions. So that means less point for you. Um, Try to work according to the instructions. Wait. Better. To the instructions that I have given, please. I'm sorry that I saw so few people in the live. I'm still making the list of the people that has been upload their homework so far. Based on that list and the performance that we had in the live, there wasn't a lot of sixth graders. The class is gonna be moved to Zoom probably. So if I was you, I would be downloaded Zoom, and you're gonna have to wear your uniform, present yourself every morning. I'm gonna pass list, cause so far this is not working for me. But we're gonna do it while I finish the list. It depends on if I have more homeworks and more present work. Something else, it was 5 points. I gave you on Friday a thread story that you should have followed. 4 people did it, so 4 people has 5 points, and 4 people and the rest of the people doesn't have them. Don't worry to upload anything anymore, because if you do it and the assessment was for Friday, the platform is going to erase everything you write after Friday. So happens. You're not cooperating. I guess that I'll see you in do-over exams at the end of the year. Okay, so we were doing Stranger Things. We finished the questions. I will want them on the platform private message on Friday. I don't want them on WhatsApp. 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 I don't know how many times should I tell you I don't want them on WhatsApp. Um, Seems that this is the grade that has more challenges understanding everything that I say. Um, we were doing the questions to upload them for Wednesday, not before, not after, only on Wednesday, so you can have some points and hopefully you won't fail. And then for Stranger Things, the last quarter we read till chapter. Let me check. Um, to page 81. Okay. So let's do from 81 on. Let's see. If I'm not wrong, I think that we did a little less on your test, because I think that I wanted to give you a little more opportunity by having to study a little less, but I don't quite remember. 81. Oh no, they were talking about yeah, they were talking about the Halloween party and how Alice wanted to wear something, but she was afraid. Uh, uh, okay, so no, we are going to go back to 81 until 4. Yeah, so Gloria, no, Terry was supposed to put a bug, a device into Gloria's phone so the Dr. Brenner could hear her phone calls. Apparently, they either don't trust Gloria and they want to spy on her, or they don't trust Terry and they want to prove that she's going to do whatever they tell her she would. Okay, so we're going to do from page 81, section 5. So if you don't find it, go look for it. As much as this is something that we have read multiple times, you just have to scan to find information. Lanza is very well known about this because he was a little lost, and I was like, okay, so scan the book and find the following words, and he did. So you can do the same. Okay, so page 81, section 5, let's start. Halloween had always been Alice's favorite holiday. She didn't mind standing being different. Wait. Yep. Being different, but it was a relief to have a day when no one noticed, when everyone stood out wanting to be different than they usually were. Also, she got to play dress up. When coveralls were the usual clothes and socket wrenches the accessories, the reactions when you swapped them for a nice dress were gently humiliating. Alice liked dressing up, but not for the way everyone teased her. Affectionate. Yet the undercurrent remained. You're not the kind of girl who wears dresses. Can make a silk purse from a sow's ear. So she was. So Alice, because she wasn't the kind of person that wears dresses, was wearing a dress for Halloween to play dress up. She didn't dress up like a monster or anything else. She was dressing up with a dress. Life required trades off. Not getting to have someone occasionally say, "You look nice," without a wink nudge was one of hers. Part of her wanted to go full Cinderella for Terry and her boyfriend's Halloween party. But in the end, she'd been afraid of getting the same sort of look she got from the people at church in her best dress. So she went for another dream persona of hers. The costume had some glitz to it anyway. She'd modified a drugstore Elvis costume and ended up with a white collar, big stars sewn here and there on the seams of the top of the white real bottoms. So I don't know if you know who Elvis Presley is. You can Google it if you want to know. He was a singer. I think that it was the 50s-ish. I don't remember. I don't know. 80s? No, 80s. 70s, 80s, because he was a very scandalous singer. He used to like move his hips kind of like sexily, and people were like, "Ah, I know he's the devil," and all kind of like ignorant stuff. And he was a very famous singer. He made a bunch of movies. I know one of them was in Hawaii. That's everything that I know. He used to have like a very like flipped up hair, and he would like wear like very bell bottom pants, and he was all glitzy and blitzy, and he would wear like jackets with the neck up, and he was a very colorful artist. So I guess Alice is dressing up as Elvis. Evil Knievel! Terry exclaimed as she opened the door to the apartment. Music bled up from behind her, the room already full of dancing people. Fragrant smoke rolled out. "Alice, it's perfect! Come in, Andrew. Come say hi to Alice." Alice beamed at Terry's correct identification. She was the car-jumping motorcycle there day before the night. Terry had bare feet with brown fur glowed on and wore rolled-up trousers and an old t-shirt and an old shirt. Her hair was arranged in tight curls, pulled aside to reveal pointy wax ears. "Who are you supposed to be?" Alice asked, puzzled. Andrew slid up to Terry's side, good looks muddied only slightly by his some ridiculous curse and similar costume. He had fur glued to the top of his hand. He had a lot of hair. "She's Frodo, and I'm Samwise Gamgee from my favorite books, the Lord of the Rings." I don't know if you ever seen it. You can Google it if you want as a reference. "I let Terry pick, and she made me the sidekick, but I don't mind being her sidekick." Terry shrugged. "I like Sam." "And I like Frodo. Let me get you a drink." Alice didn't drink, but she didn't say that. She just said thank you. She spotted a guy in a monster mask, thin plastic with a distorted mouth and a giant teeth. If only he knew what real monsters look like. Her dress-up joy dissipated a touch at the thought of the lab, that dark place in the darker things she'd been seeing here. There. Terry took her arm and led her in, shutting the door behind her. Ken and Gloria are already here. A girl with bright red lips and a long black wig and a center part and tight floral black dress stuck her hand out to Alice. "Fingers, darling. Morticia Adams, pleased to meet you." So she was dressed as Morticia Adams. "Oh, good one," Alice said. "I'm Evil Knievel." "This is my roommate, Stacy," Terry said, and caught someone's eye over Alice's shoulder. "I'll be right back and we'll find the others. I always hate parties where I only know a few people." Alice took the packed room and dancing and wondered how many people Terry knew and how many parties she'd been to. Must be a college thing. This was the first party Alice had been to in, well, ever. Church picnics and fish fries didn't count, of course. She did know every single person at those. "How did you meet Terry?" Stacy asked, dodging a guy in a clown makeup and a dress who slushed liquid from a cup. The diner? Alice suddenly remembered how. Terry had ended up at the lab. She'd taken her roommate's place. The experiment, she said quietly. How's that going? Stacy asked, the word slightly slurred. Terry never talks about it. So as you should remember, it was Stacy at the beginning that was supposed to be in the experiment, but Terry took her place. Only to Andrew and not to her roommate. You didn't care for it? Alice said in answer. It made me feel out of my brain and not in the good way. Stacy shook her head and snorted. About like that then, Alice said. Stacy frowned, but Terry reappeared. This way, she said, and talked Alice along with her. The opening guitar licks of the Beatles. The Beatles, it's a pop or a rock-ish band from the time. With a little help from my friends, rung out, and the assembled crowd of astronauts and witches and ghosts and superheroes cheered, "Yay!" When the lyrics started, everybody began to sing along spontaneously about getting by and getting high, louder on that part, with help from friends and needing someone to love. Alice belted out the lyric as loud as she could, and beside her, Terry did the same. The mellow tune and the singing made Alice's heart feel like it worked better, like the engine of her body was back in good running order for the first time in weeks. She laughed as the song finished, and Terry did too. Then she resumed leading Alice through the crowd. They emerged into a small communal backyard and a picnic table and a bonfire going. This night sky was cleared. Pin stars on velvet. So they were dancing and laughing and having fun, and they were like, oof, we have to go out for a little. And there was a fire outside. A bonfire is like an organized fire. Like you put some woods and then you set it on fire and you can see it, and maybe you can broil some marshmallows in it. Were parties always like this? Making you regret you come 1 second and beyond glad that you had the next? Well, that happened to me, let me tell you personally. I used to like parties when I was younger. I'm not gonna lie, I was a party person. And then after the first couple times I would go and I would feel like, what am I doing here? I don't know these people. They don't know me. They don't care about me. Um, and I didn't feel comfortable. I remember that the first party that I went, I embarrassed myself because I was dancing like crazy, and nobody was dancing. Apparently, dancing wasn't the thing in the era, and I was dancing. And I embarrassed my friend that took me, and he was like, "Oh my God, stop dancing! Nobody's dancing." And I was like, "No, I'm just dancing so everybody dances." No, not the way that it works. Then beyond glad that you had the next. Alice had whiplash. At least I'm wearing the right costume for it. Neville was famous for getting injured as he was for surviving his crazy stunts. Alice! Ken got up from the picnic table. His hair flowed over his shoulders like normal. He hadn't bothered to trim his beard in days. He had a Zeppelin t-shirt and jeans. Are you dressed as yourself? She asked offended. The nerve of him. Ken. Coming to a custom party without making any effort. It's okay, Terry, trying to smooth it over, hearing that Alice was serious. It was a strange and nice being understood without having to explain. Oh no, he said, I'm supposed to be an narc. She squinted. So you're a narc in real life then? No, Ken laughed, but she didn't see why it was that funny. You're lazy, is what you are, she said. But she moved past him when she saw Gloria rise from the table and throw out her arms in inspection. Now, that's a costume, Alice said, doing a full circle to admire Gloria's not perfect Catwoman. The Eartha Kitt version with a slinky glittery bag jumpsuit and a necklace with big gold circles, a belt to match. She had on the cat's eye mask and ears and everything. So I guess that Gloria was Catwoman, but Eartha Kitt was an actress. Was a black actress from a long time ago. You can Google that if you want to see how she looks like. Back at ya, Gloria said, smiling at Alice. Andrew came out to join them. I hated how Lady Bird threw her under the bus. All she did was to speak her mind about the war, Gloria agreed. Alice nodded to Andrew. I like you. Andrew handed her the beer can, and she didn't want and clicked it against. I have a feeling you're going to be like the little sister I never wanted. No, Alice said. Not another brother. That's the last thing I need. Terry put in, don't forget, he has a barracuda. Alice knew when she was beat. I suppose I can have one more honorary brother. So I guess that Alice and Andrew were liking each other a lot, like brother and sister. She sat down at a picnic table and Ken softly reached over and slid away her drink. Surprised, she looked over to see his eyebrows raising one question. Thanks, she said. I'll get you some water in a bit. She forgave him for not wearing a costume. Terry and Andrew had to go back inside to play hosts, and Alice enjoyed being in the backyard with the only people she knew at the party. As long as she managed not to think about how they knew each other, it was fine. Alice was surprised that Gloria did accept some kind of drink from Terry when she came back with a real glass of and presented to her. I never made you drink of plastic, Catwoman. Cheers, Gloria said. So they were drinking. Jesus, you should not drink. Terry clinked her beer to the glass before they each drank. Other than a couple making out in the corner, they were kissing, of the yard, the group was alone out there. Even Andrew was inside. Alice had to work early the next day and had planned to enjoy dressing up and leave early. Now she wanted to stay, put as long as possible. Party inertia. Tell me your favorite thing about biology, Alice said to Gloria. What made you study it? Oh, I want to hear this, Terry said, sitting down beside Ken. He'd been remarkably quiet all evening. You probably expect me to say the sale or the miracle of life. Gloria folded her hands together on the table. I expect you to say comic books, Terry said with a grin. There are a lot of science in those, Gloria said, but they're usually villains. And you're not a villain, Alice declared. It was obvious, but she said it anyway. Thank you, Gloria said. Anyway, biology is how we all and everything around us works. So that was it at first, but not anymore. Well, what is it? Terry asked. This might sound silly, Gloria said. Never! Alice meant it with her whole heart. You can trust people at this table, Ken said. All right, but Gloria studied the night sky and she answered like she didn't quite believe it. People working together? Scientific progress can only happen when people use the same standards and share their findings. Personal differences don't matter. When it's working right, only differences in the findings. Alice wanted to swoon. Wow, that's beautiful. Gloria smiled. Andrew wandered back out, steps meandering, and plopped down beside Alice. What are you talking about? The magic of science. Gloria didn't give the declaration, the grandeur it deserved, but Alice swallowed it. Good science, at least. The making out of couple had disappeared sometime in the past few minutes, and Alice realized there wasn't music inside anymore. Here she sat with the only people who might understand, and there was no driver to eavesdrop. No lab techs or doctors with machines she wanted to destroy and never repair. She hadn't thought to say anything tonight, but here now, she couldn't risk it. Do any of you see the monsters? The words slipped from her mouth softly, enough for the night to swallow them. For a second, it seemed like maybe none of the others had heard. Terry shifted in her seat to fully face Alice. The monsters? Alice could go back away from what she said, hid the rest of inside. Instead, she kept talking. I don't mean Brenner and Parks and the rest of the stuff. I'm talking about what I see in my sessions. When he comes in and puts the shock on me, I get these flashes of monsters and they're ravenous and they won't stop. It's like looking through a hole in reality. It terrifies me. Alice had barely breath as she let it all out, as much as she could stand. Do you sip them more than once? Terry asked. Yes, Alice said, refusing to try to decode their expressions, grateful for the dog. Gloria, that Terry's tone of voice was neutral. It probably just the drugs, but what do the monsters look like? Ken put in. You're psychic, shouldn't you know? Alice snapped and then felt bad. Sorry. You're on the edge. That's not how it worked for me, he said. They look like nightmares, horror movie stuff. Tall and gangly, muscular, covered in hide and scales and not like people. Well, except one of them walks like a person almost. I don't see them for long, but I keep seeing them. When you say he shocks you, do you mean he's using electric shock therapy on you? Gloria's voice was neutral. I was angry. Yes, he called it the electricity. I think it's because I like machines. I shouldn't have let them know anything about me. I haven't seen the monsters, Terry said. Alice felt her stomach begin to plummet. She shouldn't have said anything, Terry continued. But I met a girl at the lab. She calls Brenner Papa. When was this? Ken asked. Gloria said, I knew there was something else the other day. She wasn't sure how to tell you, Andrew said. Babe, go on. Alice leaned forward. She wasn't the only one with a secret. I was going to ask Brenner about calling the school and your family, but instead I found this child. Her name is Callie, and she calls him Papa. She said she's a subject like we are. Andrew thinks she's sick or something. So as we can see so far, the whole party, they've been talking about the different aspects of the experiment, and they have shared the experiences and how they're not afraid of a lot of things anymore because they have suffered through them anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna read till that. You're gonna finish reading the rest of the chapter. It's just like 1 or 2 pages, and I hope that you read it more than once. At the end of the quarter, I will give you an assignment to do with it along with your book. I hope you're okay. I hope you're being safe. I hope that you are uh, doing your work, and probably I'll see you soon. It's either there or Zoom, but I think Zoom is gonna happen. I just need to communicate with your parents on how we're gonna do it. So I hope you're okay, and I hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.